my administration is officially declaring the opioid crisis a national public health emergency.
The president declares war on opioids. Welcome news for South Florida, but hey, where's the money?
It was a mixture of heroin and fentanyl that killed this little boy. We don't know where he got it.
Innocent victim. Proof that the drug epidemic affects even the bystanders.
There are over 500,000 TPS recipients from Haiti, from Honduras, from Salvador, and from Nicaragua.
CPS now!
The clock is ticking. Temporary protected status is about to end for thousands of people in South Florida.
Good morning. Great to have you with us today, as always. And we begin with the now official public health emergency that is already a familiar health crisis in South Florida.
Is it ever? Tragically, President Trump made it official this week, saying that it is time, past time, to fight back against the scourge of opiates in whatever form it takes, prescription pain pills or deadly synthetic opiates like fentanyl. They have killed more than 60,000 Americans last year.
More people are dying from drug overdoses today than from gun homicides and motor vehicles combined. Together, we will face this challenge as a national family.
In Florida, some 4,000 people died from opioid overdoses last year, and this week, an autopsy confirmed fears that contact with heroin and fentanyl killed a 10-year-old in Overtown last June. A child with no conceivable connection to drugs but for what he may have accidentally come in contact with in a public place.
So let's talk about all this with our guest. Lissa Franklin is the Clinical Outreach Coordinator at Life of Purpose Treatment, a therapeutic addiction treatment program at FAU in Boca Raton. She also volunteers at Young People in Recovery at the University of Miami, and she overcame her own drug addiction, now helping others. Dr. Hansel Tooks is an assistant professor of infectious diseases at the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine, and he is the director of the UHealth Needle Exchange Program.
Also this morning with us, Miami Fire Rescue Emergency Medical Services Captain Archie Vasquez, who knows firsthand about the opioid crisis in South Florida. And David Scharf is a criminal justice veteran, executive director of community programs for Broward Sheriff's Office, and part of the United Way Commission on Substance Abuse. Great panel. So happy that you're with us. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Great to have you come in.
Yeah.
Captain Vasquez, you are out there on the streets of Miami, so let's sort of get a firsthand impression from you. We know that 14 Floridians die every day of opioid overdose. What's it like these days? Is it getting worse, better, about the same?
Since last summer, it has gone a little bit better. It slowed down. Last summer, I think, was the peak. It has gone a little bit better, but just this morning, coming over here, I heard about 3 or 4 runs within an hour of overdrug cases. So it's still out there. It's still a daily battle that we're dealing with.
You know, such a familiar thing here in South Florida, as evidenced by the video we're looking at. One of our reporters, Amy Viteri, did an investigative piece, just staggering information in that. Dr. Tooks, now that the president has declared this public health emergency, practically speaking, what does that mean now going forward? Does it change enough?
Well, the thing about the president's declaration was that, for me, as an HIV physician, I was very concerned that it didn't include any harm reduction. There was no HIV prevention, there was no hepatitis C prevention. Needle exchange programs are an essential portion of attacking the opioid crisis. We give out naloxone at our program, and we have had 200 reversals in just a few months. So without including harm reduction, I just don't see how we can have a comprehensive response.
Harm reduction programs or money for the programs?
Well, both. Both would be the appropriate response to the epidemic, including the state's response. Governor Scott also has legislation moving forward, and I commend him for trying to tackle the epidemic, but I hope that it includes an approach to reducing disease and overdose.
Yeah, David Scharf, just let's get you on the record here. You listened to the president's speech. Did you say it's about time, or what was your reaction? What is your reaction?
Well, what we like to see is awareness being brought to the issue.
whether it's from the president, the governor, or whomever. We are concerned that not enough information is being brought to the public about how dangerous this stuff is. So regardless of the fact of funds coming through, we just want to make sure that people understand how dangerous this stuff is and how difficult it is to fight.
Yeah, from our point of view, Glenna and mine, and I think people in the media, it seems, and by the way, it was you, Archie, it was you out there with Amy Viteri that day when those two women were found who were nodding off on heroin, I believe. But it seems to me that we are running these kinds of stories all the time. Lissa, you're nodding your head yes. So, I mean, I think that, I'm not trying to praise the media, but in fact, we are trying to make people aware of how prevalent it is and how dangerous it is.
You are, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. The issue is this is a silent killer. We're finding people behind dumpsters, in restrooms. It's not a black, white, it's not a socioeconomic related drug. Everybody's become victim of this, but they're silent. We don't see the outbreaks and the outbursts like we saw with Flocka and some of the other cathinones.
Why?
If you remember, last year we had Flocka on our streets, and Flocka caused what we called excited delirium. And people acted out. They acted, their body temperatures were extremely high, and they were acting out in strange ways, so it brought attention to it. You could see what they were doing. There were stories all over about what they were demonstrating. This, we're finding people, the captain I'm sure will say the same thing, we're finding people dead with needles in their arms. Sometimes the fentanyl or the carfentanil that may be cut into a supply of heroin is so lethal and so deadly that a minute amount will kill you. So they're dying before they even depress a plunger.
You know, I want to go back to something you just said about the message. Lissa, you've been so open and so forthcoming with such a very personal struggle that you had with addiction that you've come through in such a positive way. Would the message of just say no, which the president talked about how important messaging is, we're going to advertise, we're going to get the message out there, is this that kind of addiction where telling kids just say no might work?
I do think prevention is very important. I do not think necessarily that the just say no approach is the way we need to combat this. And like what Dave said with it being a silent killer, it goes back to part of the president's message where he said, this is the shame of America. And I think the reason why it is a silent killer is because of the stigmatized shame surrounding substance use disorder. And part of the reason I am so vocal is because I was reluctant to seek help for many years because I was so shame-based of my substance use disorder. You know, I came from a wonderful family with many financial resources, so much love, but I felt like I was a bad person, not a sick person. And so the reason I am so vocal is to offer hope, say there is no shame around this, and if you are struggling, there is help available.
And so you are saying, as I think many counselors do say, is let's treat this as a medical disease issue,
Absolutely.
Not necessarily a criminal issue, although
Correct.
crime is involved in a lot of this stuff. I mean, Dave Scharf, BSO, you know, arrest a lot of people. Arrested a couple out in Davie who allegedly have been importing fentanyl from China.
Yeah, so we've engaged in Operation Bad Dose for a few months, so we're continuing to go after the dealers and the manufacturers and the distributors. We understand those are the bad guys. The bad guys, as Alyssa said, are not the users. They are the victims in this, and we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to receive the treatment that they need. And as a result of that, Sheriff Israel has backed a medical assisted treatment program within our criminal justice system, in our county jails, in our drug court treatment program, making sure that those who want treatment can get it through Vivitrol and some of the other drugs that we think can have an effect on the cravings and, you know, getting off of heroin and fentanyl.
Is it fair to say, Dr. Tooks, is it fair to say that this addiction, unlike other addictions, maybe alcohol, other kinds of recreational drugs, etc., is so different in that it doesn't start out as a choice. It starts out, remember the pain pill mills that have all been shut down? People are looking for legitimately prescriptive drugs to help their pain, and then it turns into something more. And it strikes me that that might be a different path to addiction than other addictions we might see.
Right. We asked people at the needle exchange whether or not they were using prescription drugs beforehand, and the overwhelming majority had been. I think one of the unintended consequences when the pill mills closed was that a lot of people were driven to using street drugs, and that's what concerns me about the legislation that the governor is proposing. Is
what concerns you?
Well, the 3-day limitation on physician prescription of opioids is...
Excuse me, a 3-day supply. Let's say I've had a surgery, a serious surgery, and I'm in pain. The most of OxyContin or Percocet or Percodan or Vicodin that I could get would be just for 3 days.
Right. For acute pain, it would be 3 days. So it concerns me any time that we limit the supply of prescription opioids that people might be pushed in the direction of street drugs. Also, as a physician and a professor, I'm extremely concerned that this might not be evidence-based. If there is literature that supports this in terms of combating addiction, that is a great thing, but we need to govern the practice of medicine by evidence.
Well, would there be a better time period if it has to have a time period on the amount of days for which somebody could get a supply of these very powerful drugs?
There is other legislation that proposes 7 days. I think that that would be more reasonable. And I'm not criticizing what the legislators are doing. I'm happy that they're trying to address the epidemic. But I'm not sure that legislators should be telling physicians how to practice medicine.
Well, legislators tell school teachers how to teach. They tell all of us, and the president tells the media people what we should and shouldn't report. So it's not anything particularly.
And we listen? No.
So much school.
The only thing I'd like to add to that is we understand that 80% of those who are addicted to heroin started off as prescription drug opioid users. So limiting access to excessive amounts that we all find in our grandmother's medicine cabinet, if we can cut down on that, I think we're going to make some headway.
You know, I think
80% is a big number.
Last, we actually had this discussion about opioids a few months ago, and I think a lot of us were really surprised to learn that the largest group demographic of people addicted are Medicare recipients. And then under that, white men 25 to 35. Is that still the case?
According to what we're seeing, a 35-year-old white male is the typical overdose victim.
Yeah, the majority of the people who use the needle exchange are white as well in Miami, Florida.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how Captain Vasquez, the danger in the streets has really exploded, not only for addicts, but for the public as well. Stay with us.
Welcome back live in our studio on this Sunday morning. An expert crew of folks here to talk about the opioid epidemic. And Captain Vasquez, let me ask you, I don't know how much Narcan you were administering in the past year, but it's gone up significantly. What's the increase in the use of Narcan? How much are you buying before? How much are you buying now?
For example, we were buying last year in the city, $21,000 was the budget for Narcan, and I believe we went over $150,000.
Wow.
The drugs are very strong right now, so you all overdose them in the field. They come into the emergency department. We reverse them again, and then as a medicine physician, I admit the patient, and then I get called for a code blue on the floor because they've overdosed again.
Really?
They've taken no more opioid during that time. It's just when the Narcan wears off, the opioids are so strong that they overdose multiple times.
And naloxone, explain to us how that reverses or helps reverse the effects of the opiates.
So the way that opioids work is they attach these receptors and they produce pain relief and they produce euphoria, but one of the side effects is that they produce respiratory depression, so they stop your breathing. The naloxone just kicks the opioid out of the receptor. It's an amazing drug. Jack Fishman, who invented it, should have won the Nobel Prize. It saved more lives than probably anything else, well, antibiotics.
Yeah.
But we give it out at the needle exchange, and our participants have saved 200 lives just since April. It's an amazing drug.
You know, I think one of the headlines this week that I found so staggering was the autopsy that confirmed that this 10-year-old, Alton Banks is his name, who was walking home from Gibson Park in Overtown, one of the city's beautiful big new parks, having a great day, presumably, and got home and died of this fentanyl or heroin in his system when no one he knows, no one in his family has anything to do with anything. And I think this sort of brings home the fact that this crisis is not about addicts. This crisis is about the community. And anybody can be, it reminds me of that movie Contagion, where you just don't know when you're infected someplace. Captain Vasquez, that has to open up all kinds of dangers to you and your crews who are out there hands-on here.
Yes, on a daily basis, between the amount of fire rescue calls that were going on, the citizens exposed just to all the needles out on the streets. Thank God that he's doing, he's working hard for that. The amount of PD that we have to get responding to those units is so, normally there's always something more type crime scene. So it does put a burden on the community as a whole. Not only the citizens, Miami PD, police all over, and fire rescue, and the hospitals. Yeah. There was days in the ER they were just overwhelmed at Jackson Memorial. They just couldn't take enough. There was so many patients coming in, and they would leave 4 or 5 hours later and come right back, which made it even worse.
Yeah, Lissa Franklin, let me ask you. There's a lot of talk, obviously, about rehab treatment facilities, and we did not hear the president say, well, he said, I want Congress to fund more rehab facilities. But in your experience, are there enough facilities open? Are they affordable? Where are they? How do they work?
That's a really broad question, and answering it in the most simplest terms, there's not enough. There's not enough funding, there's not enough beds, and there's not enough access. There's not enough access in rural areas. There's not enough beds in overpopulated areas like Jackson Health and Recovery Unit is always full, BARC is always full, DAF in Palm Beach is always full.
Miami only has 250 publicly funded treatment beds for a city of 2.7 million people.
And Palm Beach has 53.
And you have fewer beds in Broward?
Yeah, about 60.
The president's directive does nothing to move that needle.
Right, and it's like, it's show me the money, and it's exactly what we were talking about right before. It's like, where's the funding? Where's the funding for abstinence-based treatment? Where's the funding for medication-assisted treatment? Where's the funding for recovery supports? Because treatment is also not going to be effective if there's not that recovery support component.
Yeah. Well, I also have read in doing my little homework here for this discussion that 1 in 3 non-adults is a Medicaid recipient. And if Medicaid is cut back, Dr. Schutz, your ability to be compensated for the care. At Jackson, you can't turn people away. I mean, they will come in.
We treat everyone.
Yeah, you treat everyone. That's one of the great things about safety net hospitals. Broward General does the same. But Medicaid cannot be cut back to, it would be expensive for the citizens of Miami-Dade and for Jackson and for Broward General.
Right, we should be going in the opposite direction. Obviously, Florida should have expanded Medicaid. If we cut Medicaid, there's even less access to treatment beds, to getting medication-assisted treatment, to getting Suboxone, which is covered by Medicaid. It is so hard for me as a physician to place a patient in rehab when they're discharged, and it just shouldn't be that way. Because when
they don't qualify for any kind of a subsidy, or what's the problem?
There are just no beds. There are absolutely no beds. So they're the people who have faced consequences. They're hospitalized. They're extremely sick, and they're ready to go into treatment, and we can't get them in.
And people think funding these programs is expensive. What's really expensive is leaving it untreated, because as a nation, untreated substance use disorder costs our country $800 billion annually.
So what is, it's almost like a bifurcated problem. There's addiction and treatment, and then there's this kind of drug legal issue where the fentanyl and carfentanil are being cut in, heroin's being cut in to the people who are addicted, who are looking for street drugs. Is this something that needs to be attended to on 2 fronts?
It's pure fentanyl now, right? It's pure fentanyl on the streets. It's not cut
more
anymore.
than one front.
Yeah, it's the fentanyl with the heroin, and that's what's making it difficult.
It's getting worse.
Yeah, it's getting it gets worse, and when somebody gets hooked on it, we've asked people when we bring them back with Narcan, and we tell them, man, this could end up killing you. They don't care. They don't care. I've seen the same person go in and out in the same day.
Well, when synthetic drugs like fentanyl at a much cheaper price can be cut into a heroin supply, think about the cultivation and the staffing and the manpower it takes to cultivate these drugs. If you can make synthetic fentanyl in a laboratory no bigger than half of this room, the profits for the drug dealers is incredible. That's why they're doing it. They're cutting it into the supply for their own profit.
And most of this comes from China, and it's being sent, I don't know, through the mail, through FedEx, through UPS. They find ways to get it here from China. I mean, how do they get it here?
Yeah, they do. It's exactly right. The next fentanyl kilo may be delivered by your friendly neighborhood postman, or your DHL, or your Federal Express delivery person. It's coming in via the dark web. They're being compensated via other forms instead of regular money. And we're seeing it come in
on Bitcoin. They're paying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so easy to get into the country right now through Canada, through Mexico, from China. We don't know where it's being produced.
You know, now that the president has declared this health emergency, the spotlight is once again on. We will have this discussion, a huge, broad discussion again soon. And thank you so much for being here for this one this morning. To be continued.
All right, up next, we're going to take all the big topics, including opioids, to the roundtable. Stay with us.
All right, let's get right to the roundtable now for this week's deeper dive into the top news stories. And we have a great group with us this morning.
Jessica Fernandez is president of the Miami Young Republicans, also was the delegate to last summer's GOP convention, the youngest one, I believe.
Yes.
Rosemary O'Hara is the editor of the editorial page of the always provocative Sun Sentinel. And Dwight Bullard is the political director at the New Florida Majority, a former state lawmaker and a public school teacher. To all of you, good morning.
Welcome.
Great to have you come in.
Welcome.
Great to be here.
Rosemary, we've talked so much about opioids, and now that we have two really big headlines this week, the president's announcement and the autopsy of Alton Banks. And in 1 week, this crisis just exploded onto the national scene. What is your take on what you heard these past couple of segments?
Well, you know, this crisis has really been around for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah.
So it's really great to see it explode on the national scene and see the president talk about it, because it really is going to take leadership at the national level from the White House to address it. And let's hope that it's not just going after making the prison sentence longer, that we really do put some money behind the issues of treatment, of, you know, that some of these folks are always going to need some kind of drug to keep them from going to illegal drugs.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm happy to see the focus, and heartbroken to see the death of a 10-year-old boy. Yeah. It just shows that this epidemic is reaching children. It knows no bounds. It knows no political party. It knows no economic class. It is affecting all of our neighborhoods and our communities.
Yeah.
Right. 14 Floridians die every day because of opioids. It's just, Jessica, it's just unspeakably sad. I mean, Alton Banks, this 10-year-old child, walking home from an afternoon at the swimming pool at the park, and he apparently touched maybe an old needle or something, and that was enough to kill him.
I mean, this is something that needs to be stopped and addressed. As you all said, it has been something that has been affecting our community. You know, I've spoken to chiefs in the Miami-Dade County Fire Department, and they're worried themselves. They have to go and multiple calls to the same person a single day. You know, they need to get special gloves put on because they're coming into contact with this deadly drug as well. And, you know, I am glad to see a national emphasis. I know our state and local elected officials and our you know, managers have put a big emphasis on this, but this is going to be something that we need to tackle together as a community. I recently participated in a leadership summit in September at the AEI, the American Enterprise Institute in DC, and we had a major focus on our program talking about the opioid crisis, touching on what you said, Glenna, that this is affecting a very particular demographic. So we see people that, number one, they have a predisposition to have an addiction in their body. It's a disease that we've recognized. And number two, we see that this is almost like from a sense of hopelessness. These people don't want to live. They've lost their will to live. These people are poor. They come from uneducated backgrounds. So I think that we also have to have an emphasis on prevention. We need to prevent people from becoming addicted in the first place.
That's what part of the president's message this week. You know, Governor Rick Scott actually beat the president by a few months in declaring in the state an emergency and allotting $38 million for it. Dwight Bullard, the president's announcement didn't come with funding. Is that an issue?
It's very much an issue, and I appreciate on one hand the recognition of the opioid crisis as a health crisis, but I'm a little remiss, and it seems a little hypocritical that government didn't recognize this when it was the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s and 90s. That was a criminalization thing, and so now we're talking about this health crisis as 12-step programs. Let's make sure we, provide access to medications that can ultimately get folks off, but there are a number of people walking the streets of Miami-Dade County right now that did not have a 12-step program. Instead, they had 18 months incarceration, and that was their 12-step program. And it's that kind of thing that we have to do as a government and society, is recognize that the opioid crisis becomes a crisis when middle America, low-income white America, all of a sudden gets addicted to things. But when Black America was self-medicating in the late 80s and 90s, it was all criminalization, and that was the only tactic that they seemed to want to be able to use.
Well, at least the Governor Scott, to his credit, I think, is proposing $50 million in the next state budget to address opioids, and the federal government did give Florida $27 million, including, I think, about $1.8 million for Narcan, so that fire rescue people go out there and administer. That cost, roughly, I think, $80 for each one of these shots that they give up the nose of people who have overdosed.
Well, and good for the governor for coming in and saying we need to put some money behind this. I don't know if $50 million is enough, given the number of people who are dying every day. But, we are 5 years into this epidemic, and a lot of us have been saying, hey, Tallahassee, let's do something about this. Why has it taken so long? Why, at the end of last year, did the money that was proposed for mental health get so cut in the final days? So yes, we know it's political season, and now we want to deal with an epidemic, but is it enough? And the other thing, again, it is criminalization of this too. It's the focus is on tougher prison penalties. Well, let us deal with the underlying issue, and it is expensive. And as you well know, and your panel said before, there's a cost that we pay if we don't deal with the problem at the beginning.
Yeah. Let me, if I may, I just want to pay credit to the Sun Sentinel, to your page, because during the pain clinic crisis that we had in Florida a couple of years ago, I mean, we did reporting, but the Sun Sentinel really led the way on that story, and thanks to the legislature, Pam Bondi, most of those pain clinics in Broward County, where they centered, have closed, most of them.
Yeah, Pam Bondi did a great job in zeroing in on closing the pill mill clinics, but she did not do the same with what happened when you restricted access to those kind of drugs. Suddenly this opioid crisis exploded, and she'd been called on for a couple years to help out, do something about this, and she was slow to the punch.
Dwight, what's your take on the increased penalty for sellers under state law?
I think it's a bad direction to go in.
Why?
I mean, it's similar to Rockefeller laws that ultimately led to mass incarceration. What I would look at, and looking at the $50 million that Governor Scott's talking about putting into the program, is also look at using the Department of Corrections budget as a means of operating diversion programs. Maybe talk about converting existing infrastructure into large-scale clinics as opposed to mass incarceration factories, and really get creative about addressing this as a real problematic issue. The reason you have the scourge of drug dealers or people operating in the margins or on fentanyl or heroin is because there's no access to real jobs. You know what I mean? Like that's a crisis within itself. Is a lot of these communities are continuously decimated by a lack of infrastructure, lack of income, opportunity, and so therefore people end up finding these things, and so they heighten the charges for those folks. Just creates a vicious cycle.
Poverty plays into so many layered
Absolutely.
issues. All right, stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more Roundtable.
Welcome back. We are in the midst of a rockin' roundtable. We are, however, talking about a very serious topic, opioids. But let's move on, if we can, to temporary protected status, because Dwight Bullard, roughly 300,000 people here, our neighbors, our friends, associates, people we work with, people whom you used to teach, are on the verge of being told, go back to your native countries, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Haiti, principally. What is the hope that somehow they're going to be allowed to say? Why should they be allowed?
Well, right now they're tied into the tapestry of our economy. I mean, no one's really talking about that, right?
Yeah, the economic impact.
Exactly. The 300,000 people are taxpayers. They've had jobs. You know, they're working any number of in any number of capacities, and so that within itself is going to be a challenge for us as a county, as a state, to deal with the impact and loss of those individuals.
But by virtue of being here under protected status for, well, Haitians since the earthquake, generally speaking, so a decade, Hondurans, Salvadorans, Nicaraguans, Central Americans, Jessica, more than that, since Hurricane, was it Mitch, almost 20 years ago? And so in the next couple of weeks, that deadline comes up. The Trump administration has said, you know, it's time for them to go back. And so this week we learned that a decision might be coming in 2 weeks. I don't know where that comes from. I've been told by people in the know that they're expecting a decision and bracing for it while legislation is percolating. Should that be extended just to see what Congress does?
Look, I mean, I think Congress has had plenty and ample opportunity to act on this. I mean, even the name of the order, temporary protected status, indicates that there is going to be some sort of rollback to this program. It is a very unfortunate situation. It's not an easy situation. There's human beings involved. And, you know, they come from places that are very unstable, you know, and our country extended them an invitation to be here on a temporary basis while their country hopefully got back to where it needed to be, where it was stable enough. I do think this is ultimately rolls back into the larger conversation about immigration, and it's incumbent upon our members of Congress to act in this way. President Trump did extend TPS for 6 months, I believe it was.
For Haitians.
For Haitians.
Yeah.
And, you know, we need to put a finality to this topic and not let these people be in limbo indefinitely.
Well, just the way the Dreamers, Rosemary, are in limbo right now, because the president said, I believe, March 1st is going to be the deadline, but he wants Congress to extend it. But this Congress gives no indication that it's going to tackle that and do anything meaningful.
Well, immigration, to do something about this is to do something about immigration. And immigration is just a can of worms in Washington. And to expect that in an election year that Congress is going to act quickly is just we're asking. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And in the meantime, let's remember that, like for Haiti, since the earthquake in 2010, things haven't gotten any better there. You know, they've got the cholera epidemic, they've had hurricanes, their government remains in disarray, and to take 50,000 people and say, you got to go. Plus, the people who are here have had children, they're sending money back home, so they're helping. But that said, I do agree that, you know, that to re-extend every 18 months, this TPS every 18 months, well, and it's always been extended until the president, you know, came in and said, we need a different direction, and we do.
Well, you know, aside from the temporary status being what it is, a lot of people who are advocating are pitching this as a social and economic issue because of, to your point, there are people who hold service industry jobs, health industry jobs. All of a sudden, en masse, if a population leaves, there is, you know, dire prospects for South Florida in particular. Yeah. And so the humanitarian aspect of it, you know, aside, even though that you can't really put that aside, social and economic and economy is it. I mean, it's the economy, stupid, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
from the Bill Clinton era?
There's a societal cost that comes with it in the sense that how are you going to execute this, right? Are you talking about mass ICE exercises in these places? Are we talking about just going in and kicking in doors? You have people who are living with U.S. citizens in the same place. Are you talking about violating people's Fourth Amendment rights, you know, left and right in order to access these individuals and almost criminalize them for having been here, you know, trying to salvage their lives, and then say, all right, now it's time for you to go back to a place that you've been
It's
dismissed
very
on for 20
complex,
years.
very complex. All right, before we run out of time here, I do want to go to a topic that Rosemary O'Hara and the Sun Sentinel raised this week that I thought was really fascinating, and that is South Florida has applied to be the second headquarters of Amazon. And more power to us. I think, as you pointed out, or the page pointed out, Rosemary, we've got a lot going for us that's very good, but this application's got some troubling aspects to it.
You know, it just sticks in our craw that we have to give billions of dollars to Amazon, which is the biggest company on Standard & Poor's 500. And you think about all of the people, all of the companies, that the retailers that this behemoth has put out of business, because it is growing. And yet to get this headquarters, which we really want, because, you know, it's 50,000 jobs and that pay $100,000 a year. We want it, and we got to give corporate welfare to get it. There's just something wrong with the system that to attract companies, we've got to give government giveaways.
You know what? We have to take a quick commercial break. We're going to blow out the next block and talk all about that when we come back.
Great.
And because you just never know what's going to happen here, we suddenly are talking about Amazon. Jessica, you were right there in there. No corporate welfare for Amazon. But what about all of the other cities and counties around the U.S. that are shoving that idea right to Amazon and Bezos? And how do you compete with that?
Look, I think everybody wants Amazon to come to their neighborhood. I mean, it would be a boon to any community. I'm talking 50,000 high-paying jobs. But we also have to think about what are we as taxpayers giving to bring Amazon. Amazon is a very wealthy company. They're one of the biggest companies in the world in terms of money. We can't just give them freebies. I mean, they need to be a good corporate citizen like other companies and pay their fair share. Yes, there's certain things that, and you know, numbers that we can move around to kind of attract them, but it needs to be equitable. We cannot just be writing blank checks to companies because we want them so badly.
Well, as one of the points you raised in the editorial, Rosemary, is we don't know what our check is.
Right.
We're not saying what we're offering, we just know it's a heck of a lot.
Right. Yeah, no, it's unbelievable that, you know, Newark is offering $7 billion and Chicago
Wait,
is...
where does Newark even get
I know, well, it's,
$7
you know, and Chicago is $2.5 billion, and we know what New Jersey and Illinois are paying, but we don't know what Florida's cities are paying.
How do we not know? I mean,
because of these laws, because the transparency that you hear about during election season disappears when they go to Tallahassee and pass these laws that want to keep everything private.
Dwight, get in here.
Well, they're, you know, as has been pointed out, they're a corporate juggernaut, and we seem to do this with those who need it least. You know, we've seen it happen with Walmart in multiple spaces where they've exploded and thrown up their stores. But
the stadium?
Yeah. My challenge with Amazon, though, is Jeff Bezos is a Miami Palmetto senior high school graduate. You should know and understand your economy and folks that want to give back. You know, Bill Gates went to Seattle because he had stakes in Seattle. All I'm saying to Jeff Bezos is, you're a South Florida kid.
Jeff,
you
come home.
Come on home. Stop trying to make it about
but is
corporate welfare.
Is he asking for that, or he's just being offered that?
Oh no, they made clear in the bid that that government incentives would be a big deal. And to that point, I mean, the other side of this is that if we do get them and we get the buzz and we get what is really a new city, I mean, we're talking a campus that's so big it's a new city, we would get all these jobs, these people would buy homes, other property values would go up, the tax base, they say that in Seattle, their headquarters in Seattle puts $38 billion into the economy over 7 years. So it will help, but it's just that and we have to do it. You know, we want it. We want it.
Will it help is the question. You know, when we're already suffering from rampant income inequality, issues around gentrification, rising property costs.
Wouldn't this address all those things?
Absolutely not. And
the
reason I say that is because we have no guarantees that those 50,000 jobs are going to be Miami-based hires. Those are people who may be coming in from other
That should
states.
be part of the deal, right?
So that's what I'm saying is we have such rampant poverty. We have so many people who are both skilled and unskilled.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't talked about construction contract. We haven't talked about MOUs among
memorandums of understanding.
Yeah, any of those things.
Wouldn't that be part of this package?
But that's the whole thing.
Those are in the details. But I'd like to address what you just said about it wouldn't hire Miami people, because this isn't just Miami this bid was put in
He
for.
meant South Florida.
Oh,
people,
yeah,
didn't
but
you?
well, they're not calling it South Florida. You know, they're calling it Miami MSA. But, you know, it's not just Miami. Broward has more high-tech workers than Miami does. And this is also Palm Beach County. So part of this bid kind of speaks to the point of how do we identify ourselves as a region.
Right.
On the good side, it's like we've come together to talk about how great we are. On the other side, it's all about Miami.
All right, that's going to be the final word, and a good one, but it's not all about Miami. It's about South Florida, if I may say.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all very much.
Up next, election week in South Florida cities means slime time. Stay tuned. This is now a live look from our Miami Tower Cam. Boy, what a difference.
Boy, what a difference. And here is Weather Authority meteorologist Jennifer Correa with your Sunday forecast. Hey, Jen.
Hey, Michael and Glenna. Yes, what a difference it is from yesterday to today. Now a cold front is arriving into South Florida, and so we're seeing the clouds move through along this front. Here's that leading edge, and it's just a couple of clouds out there, but overall there is barely any rain out there. We are drying things out. Temperatures cooling down dramatically behind the front. What that means for us, we're going to start cooling things down. Tonight's lows 55 degrees. It'll be chilly tomorrow morning.
Jen, thanks. If you live in one of the cities holding elections this week, you've likely been the target of a paper blitzkrieg, the old school advertising campaign flyers. And if you have the time or interest to actually read any of them, you may be pretty disgusted. The ID of the candidate in this case is really not the point, because it could be any of them. That's how common those hit pieces are. Nothing new about that. But the nasty and negative assault gets fresh attention in these times of ramped up division and aggression the whole country is experiencing. Over the past few election cycles, we've received at my home campaign flyers portraying candidates as selfish, special interest managed, inept, greedy, drunk driving, philandering liars, some in bed with Fidel, some beholden to Trump. To avoid outright libel, the marketers carefully twist what may be authentic facts and figures into smoke and mirrors disinformation. Talk about fake news. It's usually not hard to trace where the ads are coming from with a little research. The nastiest are rarely from candidates in the race themselves. More likely, it's a political action or electioneering committee that doesn't have to abide by strict rules and has no reputation to forfeit. So how can any thinking voter be swayed by this stuff? But too many are. These work, and for some reason, that's why they keep coming. Does a candidate support good policy, spend money for public good, have the vision for progress in whatever form that may mean to you? That is what the measure of a candidate should be. So when are we, the voters, going to say, stop the madness? Let candidates know that they will automatically lose the vote if they sink to that level or allow it to continue in their name. That might be one idea. What do you think? We invite you to weigh in on any topic you like. Email, Facebook, Twitter, anything works.
And we will love to hear from you and get back to you. Remember, as always, stay informed, get involved. Hope you have a great Sunday.
And a beautiful week.